In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the...
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
Welcome to the Red State Town program. I'm your host, Primo Mondoni. My co-host, Ken Brown, will join me here in a couple of minutes. Please visit the show's website at redstatetownhall.com. While you're there, be sure to like us on both Facebook and Twitter. If you wish to contact us, the email address is premo, P-R-E-M-O, at redstatetownhall.com. Our show is broadcast here on Red State Talk Radio, America's premier grassroots conservative internet talk radio network. Shows also syndicated through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podomatic, TalkStream Live, Player.fm, Roku, and at least a dozen other websites. You can listen to the station using their Android, iPhone, and BlackBerry apps. Visit the station's website, redstatetalkradio.com, to download the appropriate app for your smartphone. If you don't have a smartphone, you can listen using any phone on the station's 24/7 listener line, provided by TalkStream Live by dialing the following. For Studio A, 605-562-4209, and for Studio B, 518-712-0045. Before we start the show, let's give a shout out to our AM, FM, and digital affiliates. I'm only going to do a few of them because we got a lot to cover today, Ken. WSFB, 1490 AM, 97.7 FM, Whitman, Georgia. WDDQ, FM 92.1. Adel, Georgia. WJNW, AM 1650, Hermitage, Tennessee. And K98talk.com. I'm sorry for the other folks, but we'll try to get you next time. Just got too many affiliates. Which is good, but still.
We'll get you next time.
Okay, we're not going to waste a whole lot of time with a lot of banter here on the front end because we got so much to cover. Normal news plus all the debate news. So two real quick announcements. We have two new programs on the lineup at Red State Talk Radio. First one is the American Report, which is broadcast Saturdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's a live show. It's kind of a roundtable, Ken. There's always 3, 4, 5 people in the show every single week, and they just started this week, this Saturday. And good show with a lot of experts in a variety of fields. It was they had a really good debut episode. Secondly, we got another show that's a new show, but kind of not. Battlefield of Ideas. It's also began yesterday on Saturday at 1 p.m. It's a 3-hour show. It's only once a week, but it's a 3-hour show. And one of the hosts is Trey Roberts, who used to be on Red State Talk Radio, I guess a couple of years ago. And he was with me for at least a year or two. And he's come back. He has a new co-host, and they're doing a new show once a week. And so we're glad to have them on the air and in the lineup. Now, we're going to do the debate stuff after we get rid of a few things that we need to just kind of talk about. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on them, trust me. First one up is the climate change situation where Obama has ordered even steeper cuts to power plants. Recently, Ken, Obama was chastised by the federal courts where they told the EPA that they could not just issue these regulations willy-nilly without taking into consideration the financial cost. And he turns right around and does and really defies the court again. I mean, he's really got well, I can't say that on the air. He really has a thing for coal plants, and this is going to cost lots of jobs, and it's going to make electricity rates go sky high. It's nuts.
And he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't.
This is the part that I'm most scared about in the Obama administration and his term. That he's on his way out. And he's going to try to do anything and everything that he knew he couldn't get away with in the first term.
Well, the thing is, supposedly, the standard line from the mainstream media is that Democrats care about the little people. They care about the poor. They care about the middle class. They care, which is all a bunch of crap. The thing is, if you care about people, you don't. I mean, electricity is one of the primary things you have to spend. I mean, you've got to have electricity in this day and age. I mean, it's tough to live in a log cabin out in the mountains and have nothing but a fireplace. And of course, they would frown on that because you'd be killing trees and all that kind of stuff. But the point is, especially in the north, where oil and coal are major ways that you generate electricity and also heat your homes. This is nuts.
Let's get this. Well, I'm sorry. Let's get this straight. That even his own scientists, even the people that say there's climate change, all that crap's going on, even these people that they say are for climate change, even these so-called scientists, they say that with anything we do in the United States, it's going to have the effect of it is less than 0.1%
Right.
of the world.
Right.
It means it has virtually no effect on the world.
Yet we're gonna hamstring our economy and raise rates on our people, and especially in the north with the weather's a lot colder. I mean, it's going to be it's just stupid, just because his own political philosophy is geared that way, and he's throwing out common sense completely. It just God.
He's not affected, Primo.
Well, I know he's not affected. You know, he went for another 17-day vacation again in wherever the hell he went, and Martha's Vineyard, and he left a damn day early. I'm thinking, hell, son, at least finish. I mean, if you
but isn't the communist system? In the communist system, there's an elite.
Yeah, in the communist system, there's two classes. You have the upper class and the lower class. There is no middle class.
Yeah,
and that's the way that's the way these.
I'm telling you, this is his thought. I mean, just like the climate change crap, and I'll continually bring this up because this just pissed me off to no end. Is when he talks about climate change and our carbon footprint, and he goes and flies to California to do a television show, and his wife flies to California on the same freaking day within an hour and a half.
To do another television show.
Another television show. and they take two big ass planes to do it. Now, and I say, don't sit there and preach to me, buddy. I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me about climate change. You liar in chief.
Yeah. Now I don't want him to fly to California in a Cessna, but at the same time, when they're both going to California the same day, and literally they had to be there about, like you said, about 2 hours apart, and they're taking two big jumbo jets across the country. I mean, that's just nuts.
Huge planes that are wasting millions of dollars of fuel to go back and forth, not including the manpower that it takes to do that,
and the Secret Service and blah, 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 blah.
That's what I mean. All that stuff that goes along with that, and they think nothing of it. But then he turns around and says, climate change. We've got to stop this. We got to stop this.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, don't preach to me.
But the mainstream media never calls him on stuff like that. Well, they don't call any progressive liberal on stuff like that.
And that's why we do this show.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons, one of the main reasons. All right, let's move on. We got to get this stuff done. Hillary Clinton. She's having some problems, especially with all these probes into her email server and stuff. Here's what's funny. Well, first of all, cable news has been hitting her pretty hard. The Washington Examiner printed an article last week, explaining how cable news is actually kind of giving her a little bit of a rough treatment when she's not used to having. But secondly, the FBI is looking into the security of Hillary Clinton's private email server, and this is reported by the Washington Post, and it was reported by the New York Times, etc. Except the thing was, originally the New York Times said it was a criminal probe, and within hours they withdrew that and said it was not a criminal probe because the Hillary Clinton camp went berserk, getting on the New York Times for suggesting that Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State, was a criminal, or might be a criminal. And she is, of course. But the second, what I find amazing is the very next day, someone who's in the know, and really this doesn't take a whole lot of deductive reasoning to figure this out, says that the FBI investigation of Hillary Clinton is a criminal probe. And this was reported by the New York Post the following day, because the New York Times retracted it. And the New York Post is saying, no, it is a criminal probe. And we've got people who say on the record who's saying that, yes, it's a criminal probe. And the thing is, forget the criminal probe thing. the fact that she did what she did, and we know that she did what she did, and she admits she did what she did, that she broke the law. She committed a criminal act. So this whole idea of whether it's a criminal probe or not, the bottom line is if the investigation proves that she did what she did with the email server, and we all know she did because she admits she did, she is in fact a criminal. She did break the law. Now whether or not anything happens with that, I mean, you know, this FBI, the Justice Department, under this administration, I have serious doubts that anything's really going to happen with all this. But, geez.
Well, I asked them. I watched the show, and they said the guy, the reporter, contacted the FBI, and they kept waiting for an answer if it's a criminal probe. And finally, the FBI came back and said, "Look, anything we investigate is a criminal probe."
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, that's what we do. I mean,
that's kind of what we do here.
I mean, yes, we are basically because we think it's criminal.
Yeah, why else would you be investigating?
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of silly in a way, but at the same time, they were just totally beside themselves that they would mention that this could possibly be a criminal probe and all. It's just so silly. But she is a criminal, so whatever.
She is.
Whether or not she gets declared one, I don't know. That's a whole other story. Okay, move on. You know this Iran deal? Have you read this one, Ken, about this general from the Iranian military?
I saw your post. I don't know anything much about that, so you have to enlighten me.
Well, here's the deal. Because of all the sanctions we've had, this guy his name is Soleimani, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He's a commander. He's, I think, a general. He has been heavily sanctioned by the UN and the U.S. and everything. And he has a travel ban. He's not supposed to leave Iran, okay? So what does he do? Right after we, quote, sign the agreement, they announced the agreement, and they got the agreement, what does he do? He gets on a plane. He goes to Moscow to meet with the Russians about buying military arms and buying, in particular, S-30 missiles. And if you think that the Iranians are not going to cheat, hell, they're already cheating, and it's not even actually, completely. The deal's not, whatever. It's not actually been put in force yet, I guess, so to speak. But who's surprised by this?
Nobody. Well, yeah, I'm gonna give kudos to a Democrat that I usually don't give kudos to, and Charles Schumer. I mean, stood up and he's against this deal.
Yeah, but he had permission, though. That's one thing he needed to make sure everybody.
He has what?
He has permission from the Obama White House to oppose it. Have you not heard that one?
No, I missed that story.
Well, it's a kind of a long story. We don't want to get into it because we got a lot of stuff to cover. But basically, he's only doing it because he's been given the okay to do it because of his constituency. He kind of has to do it. He's in New York. There are a lot of Jews that vote in New York, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, blah, blah, blah.
He wants to get reelected.
He wants to get reelected. So he's been given kind of carte blanche to go ahead. Okay, you can oppose it. Just don't get. But here's the thing. He was told not to rally any other support by anybody else. He can go ahead and support it, disapprove of it himself, but he's not supposed to be out there campaigning to defeat this thing. But see, really, that doesn't even matter because Obama's already let it be known that regardless of what Congress does, he's going to run through the UN. And he's going to do it anyway. The cake has been baked on this deal. It's done. We need to just get over it.
For now,
until someone else.
And this is why the next election is so important.
One of the reasons, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a huge reason.
Yeah, huge reason. So anyway, this Iranian commander and stuff. First of all, A, what have we done about it? Not one damn thing. Mm-hmm. B, have we even hinted to the Russians that we're a little displeased? I don't think so. And C, does Putin give a damn what Obama thinks about all this? No, he doesn't. And the fact is, Obama's on vacation. He probably doesn't even know about this yet. He'll find out. I'm sure he'll find out about when he reads the newspapers or he hears the news reports when he comes back to town. Right? Isn't that the way it usually works?
Yeah, and he's the first.
He's the first one to be.
I heard it just like you did.
I heard just like you did, man. You know,
I heard on the news.
Heard on the news.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of that excuse. Yeah. I'm thinking you should be the first to know, not the last.
It's never his fault, ever. Never has been.
Oh, those damn Russians. You know, it'd be one of those deals. Anyway. Okay.
We're talking about something more pleasant.
Well, we're going to talk about the debate. So we've got tons to talk about, and we've got about a little less than 8 minutes before the break. So let's go ahead and start on the debates. First of all, before we go to the break, let's talk about the undercard debate, the first debate at 5 p.m. That was were the 7 who, we got 17 major candidates. 10 were on the stage at, I guess, 9 o'clock, whatever time it was, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock, you had the other 7 who didn't poll high enough. And is there any doubt who won that debate, Ken? I don't know if you saw that debate or not, or at least saw some of the clips or not. But any doubt whatsoever who dominated that debate?
Carly
Fiorina, exactly. Rick Perry did okay. Bobby Jindal did okay. Some of the other people, they should just get out of the race now and stop embarrassing themselves. Lindsey Graham was awful. I mean, he's awful anyway, but I mean, he was awful. You would think, as long as he's been in Congress and the Senate and whatever, that he would know how to handle himself and know how to. He was just awful. And what's the other guy? The guy just got in. He's some
Gilmore,
yeah. I mean, again, what are these people thinking? Did they? I mean, this is just nuts. They're embarrassing themselves. They shouldn't even be. I guess it's just the ego thing. I guess they all have dreamed they want to be president, and they have to give it a shot, even though they have no shot. And here's the thing: out of those 7, there's only 3 that even have a snowball chance in hell.
Yeah. Jindal, Perry, and
Fiorina. And based on what Fiorina did, I mean, there was actually a Fox News poll on Greta Van Susteren show, and I think 81, 82, 83% of the people who participated in the poll said that she won the debate. So that kind of tells you how strong she was. And if you listen to some of the clips, I mean, she was just bam, bam, bam. She was right there. And, I mean, I like her more and more every time I hear her. I mean,
I think there's the two, to me, actually there's 3. There's 3 people, 3 candidates that are the best thinking on their feet, that no matter what question they're hit, they're going to come across very articulate and knowing about a subject, and those are Cruz, Rubio, and Carly Fiorina. Those are the best. And to me, they're outstanding. They're above the rest.
Yeah, you know what? I would agree with that. Those 3 are quick enough and smart enough, and it's going to be hard to get one. It's going to be hard to get a fastball by one of those 3.
Yeah.
Yep. They're gonna. I don't know if they hit it out of the park, but they're gonna take a swing. They're not gonna sit there looking when it goes past them. That's not gonna happen on those 3. I want to talk about the other debate after we come out of the debate. After we come out of the break, because there's several surprises in that one, I thought. But back to the first debate with the 7. The 7 dwarfs. Somebody said there was 7 dwarfs. But supposedly Fiorina's gotten some. Of course, she's gotten the increased notoriety and so forth, and she on Twitter and Facebook she's gotten a lot of hits and things, and her campaign donations have ticked up, which that's good.
Yeah.
If she's going to stay in a race, I mean, she's going to have more money. Even though she's a wealthy woman, can sort of finance herself to a certain point. But that's probably what she's been doing, at least because she was, way down in the polls. I got a funny feeling, though, next time I take a poll, she's going to be moving up. And the people who are on the bubble in the first debate, people like Christie and I think they might be in trouble in terms of falling out of that top 10. But the next debate, which, by the way, is I posted this somewhere. I think it's September 16th or something like that. And it's going to be on CNN. And the debate moderator is going to be Hugh Hewitt from Salem Broadcasting. He's a smart guy, by the way.
He is.
Really smart guy.
He is.
And does a good radio show. And he's going to be the debate moderator. So we hopefully won't have the antics we had in the big debate that we had just a few days ago. And we're going to talk about that when we come out of break, a little bit more about that. But I've got a feeling that Fiorina is going to be on that stage for that. I'm not sure how many people are going to be on that stage. I don't know if it's going to be 10 like it was in the Fox debate, or if they're going to whittle it down even further. I mean, I just don't actually know. I've not read that much about that debate. But I know those 7 are those, except for Fiorina, those 7 are probably not going to be there. Maybe Perry will go up and up in the polls, but I don't think his performance, to be honest with you, do you think Jindal or Perry's performance was good enough to really get them higher up in the rankings? I don't think so.
My take on it, because I watched them, my take on it with Perry is he tried. There's you can try too hard.
Yeah.
And I think he was trying too hard. It's like I'm trying to show that the last time he was in debates and he messed up and couldn't remember things, and that he wanted to prove that, hey, I'm on top of everything. And his voice was too stressed. It was he just came across as overbearing. Jindal, I like Jindal. I think Jindal's got some great ideas, and but he gets kind of lost in the shuffle for me right now. I hope he can get there. I hope he can get in the top tier, because he's definitely somebody worth listening to.
Well, I think Jindal and Perry both are competent people, I guess, in that respect. I just don't know. Now Perry's got a little bit of ego, but I think Jindal's problem is he's just not. He's just
flamboyant enough.
I guess flamboyant's the word. Flamboyant enough. He just doesn't really get your attention all that much. He's a good, solid guy, I think, and he has some, like you say, he has some good ideas. And but I mean, to stick out with this being candidates, you got to kind of stick out in the crowd.
Yeah, and when we get to talking about the second debate, that's what they did. You could tell.
Oh, good Lord!
There were certain little. I said, okay, here it comes. Trying to get your name out there.
Yeah, well, that's part of what you got to do. You got to get noticed. I tell you what, it's time for our break. When we come back, we're going to focus primarily on the big debate, the Big Ten, whatever. So stick with us. We appreciate you listening to the Red State Town Hall. We'll be right back.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Hi, this is Jeff Carlisi from the band 38 Special. The mainstream media has failed the American people once again. Internet radio networks like Red State Talk Radio will not fail you. Tune in 24 hours a day. Studios A and B. Great conservative programming around the clock. Red State Talk Radio, the dominant force in Internet conservative talk radio.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom36.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom36.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 36.com. Go to freedom36.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom36.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-400-1756 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 800-400-1756 to take your call now. Call 800-400-1756. That's 800-400-1756. Again, 800-400-1756.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now. And in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just one day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-554-7159 and get 2 bottles free. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-554-7159. That's 800-554-7159.
Hi, this is Primo Mondoni, General Manager for Red State Talk Radio. We've been bringing you the very best in grassroots, common sense, conservative talk radio for over 5 years now. One thing I've learned in those 5 years is that internet radio is a tough, competitive business. And if the station is going to advance that next level, it's going to require a significant increase in investments in both personnel and infrastructure. Our listenership grew by 42% in 2014, and with our ever-expanding listener base, it's time that we begin the move to a more listener-supported model to provide the station's future financial needs. Therefore, we're asking our loyal listeners to consider making a donation to help us reach our goals. Monthly subscriptions begin at only $2 per month, so please, help us restore conservative principles to our republic. Visit our website and become a Red State Talk Radio supporter today.
Red State Talk Radio. The Talk Monster.
The path to restoring our republic was laid down by our founding fathers. The principles of freedom, liberty, personal responsibility, and limited government are conservative ideals we will never abandon. America is listening. Grassroots, common sense, conservative talk radio. It's on the internet. Tune in now. Red State Talk Radio, featuring some of the most popular internet talk show hosts in America today. Are you listening? RedStateTalkRadio.com.
Okay, welcome back. Okay, let's get down to the meat and potatoes. Let's talk about the primary, the first. Well, let's say how would we word this? The top tier debate that was held. We had 10 candidates on there. Before we talk about the moderators and all that kind of stuff, just real quick, who do you think was? Let's say, for example, who do you think were your top 3 performers, Ken? If you had to rate them, you know, who'd you think? Who came in first, second, third? Just real quick.
Second debate, I thought Rubio was good. I thought actually Carson was really good at the very end. Bush didn't do anything for me. I thought Huckabee made some points, even though he got cut down. My winner, if you call winners, I would say Rubio.
I think he I think I'm kind of with you in terms of leaving a good impression and having some good moments. I thought Ted Cruz did well, but there was like a long time where he didn't even get the question. I mean, and that happened to Carson too.
Yeah.
And I think that hurt him a little bit. But if I had to pick 3, I would say, as far as that I was impressed with, and this is going to surprise you because Cruz is still my number 1 pick. I'm talking about in terms of the debate performance. Rubio, Carson, and Huckabee. And I'm not a big Huckabee fan, but I tell you what, I thought he did pretty darn well. He had some good moments there. And I mean, that was a surprise to me. I thought, and I know you're more of a Huckabee fan than I am, but I thought that Huckabee, I thought he did better than I expected him to do, especially with all that charisma on the stage and with Donald right there, and I mean all this kind of stuff. I thought he handled himself pretty well.
Well, you know why I'm a Huckabee fan.
Because of the fair tax, yeah. I mean,
yes,
and I'm a big. We're both big fan.
And guess who talked about the fair tax?
Yeah, I know. He's the only one. Yeah,
he's the only one. And guess what Megyn Kelly did? Her little comment at the very end of what he said about the fair tax, which is actually 100% true, by the way, when he talked about everybody pays into the system. Pimps, drug dealers, prostitutes, they all pay into the system.
Yeah.
And her little comment was, "Oh, it was getting R-rated here," that kind of stuff, which makes light of his comments and makes light of the fair tax. It's not. It's very serious business.
It's actually a very good selling point as far as I'm concerned.
It is. It's
everybody is having to pay something, and people who are in the quote underground economy who don't really pay any tax.
That's right. That's right.
They would be forced to do it under the fair tax.
These people don't pay income taxes. They don't pay FICA and all that other stuff. They get money, that has no bite out of it. Like we get, we get our money. So they pay every time they go to the store. They're paying their taxes like we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, it wasn't a debate about the fair tax, but they didn't even get into the whole thing about for the poor, where there's a prebate to help the poor who don't have as much money, etc.
Right.
And that part of the fair tax I actually do not like, but I understand why it's in the fair tax, and that's so it actually has a chance of passing someday. Because without that sort of a caveat for the really poor, it would never. It would never have a chance. It would never have a chance. So I understand why it's there from a political standpoint, but I don't agree with it. The way I look at it is, now this sounds harsh, I know, because I'm a big bad conservative. But if you're not making enough money, you should do something about it. And that goes for me too. I mean, I've had some really good years. I've had some really sucky years in my life, but I don't blame anybody else for the sucky years except myself. But you know what? All those good years, I don't give credit to anybody else for all those good years. That was me mostly, So we are.
You didn't build that, Primo.
Yeah. Well, in my case, I did. I didn't have any damn help.
You didn't build that.
I was not born. Kid, I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I mean, you know me from more than. Probably longer back than anybody's ever known me. At least that I know.
I can tell them stories.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, and you actually rode my car I had in college, 1966 Ford Galaxie 500.
That's right.
That was my first car. Paid $600 for that thing. I drove that thing for years.
I could tell people, you were. I met you in college, and we were living in the dorms and. Up in Athens, Tennessee, and if you weren't at school or sleeping, you were probably working.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah,
and you worked.
I've been like that a whole life.
It was a little gas station. You worked a little gas station thing when you pumping gas, and back when they did those kind of things. And
and I did all kinds of odd jobs too. I did any type of odd job that was available, I did. I mean, if I could pick up some extra hours somewhere, I remember I put in pews in a church one time. I remember I went to a big major facility, a big plant, and did a bunch of painting in the summer in a really hot plant, a plant that's like really hot, like well over 100 plus degrees inside the plant. And I was painting, doing the interior walls inside, and I did that for like almost the whole summer. and all kinds of stuff. I did logging down in Georgia. I went in Georgia and did logging. I'd never done that in my life, but you know what? They hand you an axe. You start cutting down trees and dragging them down the bottom of the mountain and load them up on the truck, and did that for quite a while. And hard work, man. But you got to do what you got to do, But,
yeah, you sound like Sean Hannity.
Yeah, I guess I do. But and the thing is, I've always worked 2 and 3 jobs my entire life. I mean, when I was 13, I had 2 or 3 part-time jobs. I mean, literally when I was 13 years old, because I was kind of pretty much in a lot of ways on my own. But that's just the way I've always been. I wouldn't know what to do if I had free time on my hands. I always working doing something. Anyway, get back to what we're talking about. What were we talking about? I know we're talking about the debate, but okay. Let's talk about the moderators a little bit. Everybody's all upset about the moderators asking all these really tough questions, these gotcha questions. And to be honest with you, I was a little perturbed myself. But at the same time, I understand why it was done from a financial point of view. And here's my theory, and we talked about this before we were on the air, so I'm going to repeat it because the audience hadn't heard this. Fox News knew that this debate was going to get a big audience. And it did, by the way, 24 million people, the biggest audience for a primary debate in history. And someone said that it might be the biggest audience for a non-sporting event in cable history. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but they were checking on that to see if that were true. That may be true, may not be true. But 24 million is a pretty good audience. Secondly, is that since they knew it was going to get a big audience, even though Fox is killing CNN and MSNBC and all the other cable channels, they saw this as an opportunity to grab even more listeners because people will be tuned in to the debate because of, let's just face it, Donald Trump was in the debate. And people who don't A, normally even watch debates, and B, may not even normally watch Fox News, would tune in, and they would see this quote. And all these people who don't know about Fox News have always heard how evil Fox News is, of course, from the mainstream media and the Democrat media and the Democrat Party. Fox is just awful. Well, they sit there and watch the Fox News group, the moderators, basically attack and take apart all the top tier candidates in the debate. They went after, of course, Trump. The first 2 questions were directly for Trump. They went after Rubio. They went after Bush a little bit. I mean, they went after several of the people. And so I think the whole idea there was, look, we're a really solid news group. We even attack conservatives. So you should be watching Fox News because we really are fair and balanced. And I think that the whole idea of that was that they would pick up long-term listeners after the debate. I think that's what was going on.
I think you're right. I think it's that was definitely, they knew they were going to get a whole lot more folks, period. And so I have to agree with Levin, though. I was listen to Levin, a tape portion of his thing, and I'm with him, is that you could have taken the Fox emblem off the screen and thrown in CNN, because that's what it felt like. The first part when they're talking about the women and they're trying to go on Trump about this stuff. I mean, I know that was all for ratings, but there's more important things out there. The Iran deal is huge, and it was barely touched.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much more stuff to talk about than to talk about the social issues. But that's what the media does.
Well, they didn't even really talk about. There was very little mention of Hillary and Obama during the entire debate, and these people are eventually going to run against probably Hillary, and they're going to run against the Obama record, even though because Hillary is a part of the Obama record as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, well she is.
And so what I'm getting at is that should have been the focus of the questions of the debate. It's like, well, how would you do things differently? You know. You know, we got a terrible mess in the Middle East. What would you do about that? Our economy sucks. We got 90-something million people without jobs. Our unemployment rate, you know, all these things, talking about how the GDP, the growth of the economy is stagnant, you know, that supposedly 2% is the new normal. They did touch on that briefly with Jeb Bush, and he talked, of course, he's made a pledge that he's going to get the economy rolling again, and will have a 4% growth rate or better during his presidency if he's able to have two terms. 4% is actually a pretty healthy rate. We've had rates higher than that in GDP, of course, when Reagan was in office. He did quite a bit better, but you got to be around 3%, Ken, just to basically tread water. Mm-hmm. And in this administration, we've been hovering around 1.5 and 2 and that kind of stuff for the most part. There's been a couple of times where it's gone up a little bit, but
worst recovery in history. Yeah,
worst recovery in history. I mean, it's just been a horrible economy. We all know that. Anybody who actually lives in this economy, who doesn't have a damn government job, a government job, who has to actually make a living in this economy, knows this economy sucks. It just does.
I will say this because I watched both debates, and the second debate was much more fiery and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and I'll give Fox kudos on this too because this was one of the best debates I've ever watched, and it was
entertaining in terms of entertainment. Yes,
and they kept it fast moving. Yep. They hit they tried to get to, it's very tough with 10 people on the stage.
Oh yeah,
but they did a pretty good job of that, and they let people talk to each other. The thing
the Rand Paul and the Christie and Rand Paul thing was. I wish we'd seen more of that.
Yes,
that was pretty darn good.
Yeah, and I loved Rand Paul's hug comment because I said yes, please bring that up. Everybody bring that up more and more often because when Christie hugged Obama that time, I thought, you know what, that you're done in my book, done.
Oh, yeah, that
finished.
Me. I kind of liked him in a way because he's brash, he's bold, this, that, and the other. Now, I'm not talking about his record. I'm just talking about his personality.
No, his personality.
I thought, boy, this guy would be kind of fun to watch. His president,
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I support him or anything like that. I'm just saying he would be kind of fun to watch. But when he sat there and gave him the big bear hug, I thought, you buddy, you just
done.
Get out of my face. Don't even want to, But yeah, Rand Paul nailed his butt on that one.
Yeah. Of course, everybody says that Chris Christie was one of the winners of the debate.
I don't know about that one.
That's what I've heard, and I'm like, I don't see that. But
maybe one of his best lines of the night when they were talking about how bad the economy was in New Jersey, and he goes, "You think that's bad? You should have seen it before I got there." And that was probably pretty good, but that doesn't necessarily forgive all the problems they've had, So
9 credit downgrades since he's been in office.
Yeah.
Now, of course, he's one man, and he's got a Democratic House, and
you have to give him a little bit of slack because he's dealing with the. But here's the thing, with Christie, let's just be honest. He could run the Democratic Party. There'd be no problem with him running the Democratic Party. I think for the most part. Now, one thing that some of the issues stance he took on some of the issues. He would have a tough time with, but he could probably work his way around that. Okay, so let's get down to the meat and potatoes of this thing. Of course, Donald Trump was obviously a big target by several people, not just the moderators. Do you think Donald comes out of this? Now, I've not seen a poll since the debate. Do you think Donald comes out this stronger or weaker after this debate?
I would think weaker, based on his little comment about Megyn Kelly, which I'm not real sure that was taken in context or not, about the blood and stuff and this period, in reference to her period. I don't know. I know the way Eric Erickson took it, because he disinvited him to his Red State gathering here in Atlanta.
Well, I want to mention that. I'm glad you brought that up. Of course, our station is redstatetalkradio.com. Our show is redstatetownhall.com.
Did you get a few emails there?
We have no affiliation with redstate.com. We have no affiliation with Eric Erickson. And I got numerous emails and messages on Facebook and Twitter because they thought that, I don't know how they think that Primo Mondoni equals Eric Erickson. I'm not sure how the hell they figure that one out. But I was getting blamed for disinviting Donald to the Red State event this weekend in Atlanta. And, of course, I had nothing to do with it. I want to repeat, nothing to do with it. Red State Talk Radio and Red State Town Hall are totally different entities. And I'm basically own both those, so to speak, and I'm not Eric Erickson. I don't even look like Eric Erickson.
Well, Eric is redstate.com.
Redstate.com, yeah. And the thing is, I explained this in the email to several people because they're confused because the names are similar. And I explained that he's in Atlanta doing a radio station, a radio show in Atlanta, WSB. I don't live in Atlanta. So I don't listen to WSB. I can now because of internet radio, but back in the day when we first started this, Ken, that was not the case. And so I didn't even know who the hell he was. And I'd never heard of redstate.com. I'd never heard of Eric Erickson. And when I came up with the name for Red State Town Hall, it had nothing to do with him because I'd never heard of him. And when I came up with it, I thought, well, we want to have a town hall meeting in a red state. That's Red State Town Hall. That was the entire logic behind that. Red State versus Blue State. And so when I decided to start the station about a year later, I thought, well, I've already got the show, Red State Town Hall. I'll just call it Red State Talk Radio. That makes perfect sense to me. And that's what I did. Again, I'd never heard of Eric Erickson. Jeez Louise.
So, okay. I think
I covered that pretty well.
Yeah, I think you did. So what do you think? You think his numbers will go up or down?
You know what? As crazy as the American people is, you said down, I'll say up. And the reason I'll say the up is the John McCain thing. I thought that would bring him down, or at least some. It didn't hurt him a bit. And that's because I think a lot of people don't care for John McCain. I think that's part of it. But I have seen so many people talking about how they will never watch Megyn Kelly again. They're never going to watch Chris Wallace again, etc. So I don't know. There's going to be a backlash. You know, I'm going to predict it either won't hurt him or he'll actually go up in the polls. I'll say that.
Well, it'll be interesting. I think with Donald Trump, he's his own worst enemy because I think he steps in it. I think that's just the way he is. Yeah. I think he's never had anybody to report to, you know, at least not in the last.
He's not had a boss in a long time. Yeah.
No.
Sure.
So whatever he said was the rule. But when you get into the politics end of it, and you're looking for people's votes and those kind of things, and you say things that are not politically correct, but just in this case, you downgrade women or downgrade somebody based on what you say. You step in it, and when you step in it, you get hurt. And I don't think he's used to that at all.
Well, no, he's not used to that. One thing that he said when he was talking about the women comment, he's talking about he only said for Rosie O'Donnell, and then of course Megyn said, "No, you said for other people too." And in Donald's defense, that Rosie O'Donnell episode, that was brought on by Rosie O'Donnell. She attacked Donald first, so Donald, being Donald, just kind of ripped her a new one.
Yeah,
and did what he does, you know. So
I don't have a problem with that at all. But Rosie O'Donnell stuff.
No, but one thing that Trump did bring up, and he got a pretty good applause from this. He said one thing that's wrong in this country is we're too politically correct, and he's right about that.
We are.
And the idea that you can't say what you want to say and do what you want to do, especially when you run for office, you'd think that people would appreciate that. But I guess sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And you can go too far. I mean, we all know that you can go too far. But you can expect Donald to. You're not be able to put a muzzle on him. That just ain't going to work. It just.
No, that's why I say he
wouldn't be Donald. He wouldn't be Donald if you did.
No.
So,
but you're not going to get elected the way he's going about it. It's not going to happen.
The odds are probably against you. I would agree with that. That it's going to be tough to get the nomination. Real quick, we only got a little over a minute to go. What do you think about his comment right off the bat, holding his hand up, that he will not guarantee he'll support the eventual nominee, and that he will not guarantee that he will not run third party?
What do you want me to say?
What do you think about that? Do you think that's good on his part?
I think that's Donald being Donald, like you said. That's what in his mind he may already know he's not going to run in third party. He's not going to do it.
But he's not going to give up that advantage.
But he's not giving it away.
He's too good a negotiator. He's not going to give up something without getting something in return.
Yeah, he's got control right now.
Yeah.
I mean, leading the polls. Why should he?
Yep. Exactly. That's the way I look at that. I don't necessarily think he's going to run third party. Now, he may. By the way, there's a Rand Paul clip on RedStateTalkRadio.com. By the way, we have a new Facebook group. Now, we have Red State Talk Radio Network, which is our like page, but we have Red State Talk Radio. It's a new group. If you want to join, just try to join, and I'll approve you. There's a video about Rand Paul talking about Donald Trump, and it's pretty darn good. Rand Paul was being pretty serious. That's it. We are out of time. Golly, we could have done another 30 minutes an hour, easy. Ken, you want to take us out?
If we lose freedom here, there is no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Ronald Wilson Reagan, our 40th president of these United States.
Thanks for listening. We're out of here. See you next time.
The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.